I'm glad I was allowed to come back despite the extenuating circumstances.
Oh, fuck that! No, so I watched that thing I watched the whole card. I thought it was a pretty good card, and man, I felt bad for BJ at the end. But as far as your fight, and I watched your
I was like, hey,
go ahead.
You sound like a fucking crane. It's just making so much noise.
Yeah, let's bring Marcin later.
Oh.
Let's get out of here.
I like that Joe is so fine saying like, yeah, didn't really win that, but I'll take it. Whatever.
That's what I was going to ask him about.
It's like a shootout victory.
I saw him giving some interviews and stuff talking about that. It's such a weird situation what went down.
Yeah. I will let you field the questions. I do not know enough.
All right, I'm really here now.
Yeah, so I watched that thing from beginning to end. It looked to me like you had the edge on the striking. I felt like that the whole way through. And in the first, when you were dropping elbows on him, that meant a lot on my scorecard, and I think it meant a lot on the judges' scorecard too. Because I didn't think he was going to make it out of that. Did you? Like, were those landing? Were like when you? It's hard to tell on TV.
That was some Travis Brown shit right there.
Like sometimes I can't tell if those are like if I got hit by one of those, how would I react? Would I fall to the ground?
I thought he was knocked out for sure. So I saw some people complaining and saying I was hitting the back of the head. They were like perfect elbows right on the ear.
Yeah.
Landed a whole bunch of shots like right in a row. Like he completely. I could feel him like slumping down, lifeless body. And that was why I hipped forward, and I was a little aggressive on it. I think I hipped too hard into him, and he woke up the second I hipped in, and then he just put his arm up. Like, I don't know if he even knew what was going on. I thought, like, oh, dude, he was just knocked unconscious. I'm definitely going to break his arm here right now. And he woke up and scrambled out and couldn't do anything about it. I wish I had not gone for the arm lock in hindsight, but it would have been awesome if I had broken his arm.
Yes, it would have been awesome if you broke his arm, because I saw his pre-fight stuff, and he's like talking about his ankle or his toe lock and everything. He's like, if I get the leg, I break the leg. And I was like, this is who Joe's about to fight. This is gonna be fun.
and he's right. He's really good at it. You know, it's not that he sucks. He's a very good grappler. He's really good at jiu-jitsu. Way better than I thought he was gonna be. I did a lot of grappling and training and stuff like that, but a lot of it was focused on leg locks, because we thought he was going to go for leg locks a lot. Like, his basic thing, a lot of times I don't go for leg locks anymore because you have to dedicate both your hands to one limb. And usually you're dedicating, obviously to a leg. So they have two hands. They can usually punch you and hit you pretty well. But he's kind of the type where he'll go for leg locks, and if he's getting hit, he'll keep trying to go for the leg locks, which is what we wanted, honestly. We wanted him to go for that leg lock, and then we wanted to, brain him, crush his skull.
Like, leading up to this, like, that was my expert.
That's what I thought was going to happen.
I was like in the transition between him trying to take Joe down and Joe like going down to one knee or even getting taken down or whatever happens. There's going to be a moment where Joe's going to be faster on the transition, and he's the better striker. He's the guy that when we pop up off the ground, he's going to get that jab and he's going to fucking knock this guy silly and rough him up.
And then in hindsight, like, those elbows were great because they landed, but I fucked up my elbow so bad. Like, it's still, you can't see it that much now.
Oh yeah, I can. Yeah.
It's the swelling's gone down so much since then. It was like ballooned way out to here. Like, I can actually feel the bones in my elbow now. I couldn't feel it before. It was like a water balloon. And so that was part of the thing. So going into the fight, my wrist is pretty messed up. So this wrist, I got both my arms straight up and down, right?
Yep.
Back this up a little bit. So this wrist is my good wrist. This will go down all the way like that, right? Straight up and down. This one goes to like there. So you can see the difference of like this one goes 90 degrees. This one's like not even close.
How'd you mess it up?
Grappling, just doing jiu-jitsu. I was blocking on someone's hip, and they threw their hip, and it just jammed it back. And I kind of screwed myself because I was taping it up to protect it, but I was taping it too much. Cause I was taping every time I trained. I'm training twice a day. So I just lost all the range of motion. It went from, so right now that's straight up and down, right? That's as far as it'll go. Before, it was stuck basically. It would go to like there, and that was it. Like, I could hardly bend it at all.
What'd the doc say?
I didn't really go to see a doctor per se. No, I did. I didn't go to like a surgeon, but I have a bunch of PTs that I see and I use. It was basically just like I had the bones; they were all jammed up. Everything was just over tight. It was protecting it. So I got a lot of the range of motion back, but it was tough. So I had like a kind of a sore wrist going into it, and it wasn't stopping me from grappling. And honestly, it wasn't stopping me from doing anything. But it puts a little bit more emphasis on my right hand. So like I'm not grabbing my hands together. I'm grabbing like here. So I'm grabbing on. I'm using my good wrist to grab onto my bad forearm, I guess, and pull in. But now I bang up this elbow, and now this elbow and this arm that's been doing all the work can't do anything because it's so swollen and so stiff, and like I couldn't throw right hands the way I wanted to. I couldn't box the way I wanted to. I couldn't maneuver him around. I couldn't body lock him. I couldn't shoot takedowns. I severely limited myself because I blew my load. I thought for sure I had him finished with the elbows. So I threw a bunch of elbows. My elbows were hurting, but my elbow was hurting when I was landing. But I just, I was elbowing him in the head.
It seemed like it was worth it.
Yeah, I thought it was worth it.
Yeah. And I think it was. I think it won you the fight because, like, for those who don't know, it was this exhaustive ground fight that went on and on where he wasn't landing effective strikes. He was just controlling the action a lot and just getting on top and grinding a lot of dry humping. I was glad that they scored it the way they did. I think
it's good for the sport.
It was
I think it's
interesting.
good for the sport that it scored that way.
So people might not know, in 2017 the rules changed, and it used to be they gave more emphasis on like position and octagon control than they do today. Today it's about damage.
In some places, So I'm going to steal Woody's thunder.
Go ahead.
Explain. So basically, there's the unified rules, which is what everyone's followed for years and years, right? Which is, that's when we're allowed to knee, when we're allowed to elbow, what's a down opponent, what's everything. And that's pretty much like universally across the entire country and the whole world. It's unified rules. This is what happens. Well, now that they've updated the unified rules, so in some places you can do this, but in other places you have to stick to the old stuff. So they basically fixed some things like the judging criteria. They changed how rounds should be scored. Like for the most part, a 10-9 round is supposed to be, someone that, won a round.
Most rounds, right.
And a 10-8 is like a super, like, I kicked your ass the entire fight, so you're going to get a 10-8. But they're trying to make it so that's more of like a 10-7 round is when you're really kicking someone's ass. So like it's so 2 10-9 rounds could be a 10-9, one could be a 10-8, even though they're still both competitive. Yeah. So there's new judging, and part of the new judging is that it used to be striking, aggression, octagon control, and striking, grappling, aggression, octagon control, the 4 categories. But they were never supposed to be evenly weighted, but there was never any clarification on what was going on.
Well, I thought the octagon control was only supposed to be taken into account if in some certain situation.
Well, that was how some people interpret it, but it was never set out. Everyone had all their own interpretation of the rules. So, but now it's clearly saying that striking and grappling are number 1 and number 2. Like if you can't decide based on those, then you go to If the fight was almost all striking, right? Then striking is going to be weighted a little bit more than the grappling, and vice versa. So in our particular fight, he had a bunch of takedowns to me. So to me, that's the end of the world. Like we did not want to let him take us down. So when he was taking me down, I'm like, fuck, he's winning the rounds. He's doing this, but I outstruck him on the ground. I was hitting him a lot more than he was hitting me. I almost finished him in the first. The arm lock in the second was super close. So I think that was why the judges gave it to me. At the time, I was so focused on we can't let him take me down. We can't let him take me down. That I was like, I definitely lost. When he took me down to the third, I'm like, fuck, you know what I mean? Like I can't. I'm trying to not let him do this, and I'm trying to. My coaches, Steve Mays and box coaches tell me, what to throw for combinations. But every time I come forward, I get taken down.
He's timing you so well.
Yeah, I want to ask about that. Well. I got 2 questions I need to ask. The first one, I saw you at a post-fight interview say, dude, you're not going to get tossed out of the UFC. I'm going to talk to, and then I forget the guy's name, maybe the new Joe Silva.
Shelby.
Sean Shelby. Did you talk to Shelby?
Yep.
Oh, you did?
I harassed the shit out of him. I tried to get him a raise, too. I think he's safe. I think he's safe at this point.
Okay.
He should be.
He should be. I'm
like,
he's
definitely a UFC caliber fighter. And
I asked Sean Shelby, I'm like, what you definitely got to keep him around. He's like, he's 0-2 in the UFC. And I think he's kind of busting my balls. I don't think he really planned on getting rid of him anyways. But he's kind of busting my balls in the UFC. Like, he's just playing, point, counterpoint with me. And I'm like, yeah, okay. He fought Diego at altitude. Diego's an absolute animal. You threw him to a shark.
Cardio, man.
And then I'm like, and I think I'm pretty freaking good, too. And, and I thought he won the fight. I'm like, who do you think he won the fight? He's like, I thought he eked you out. I'm like, okay, perfect. So he's 1-1. Don't cut him. If you thought he won the fight, don't cut him. Yeah. And he's like, oh, are you his manager now? I'm like, I got to do something after I'm done fighting. I'm like, he could use a raise too.
The other thing, you're not known for being easy to take down. What happened?
He had really good jiu-jitsu. It was just timed really, really well. So like, I take down people a lot of times. If you see me shoot, it's because I time it well or set it up well. He was setting me up perfectly. He did such a good freaking job. He made me look like a complete rookie on all that stuff. You know, and I have pretty good takedown defense.
Right.
But there were a whole bunch of things that we were working on for throwing, like when he tried to take us down. You know, we worked on right uppercut. We worked on a left knee. We worked on like a front kick, which is a teep. We worked on a whole bunch of different things to, you know, kind of like traps we kind of had set, like things we wanted to try to discourage him from shooting with. And every time I threw punches, he would time it just right. When I was like, there were periods like, especially in the second and third, where I wasn't being super active with punches because I'm kind of waiting for him. I'm thinking, okay, he's going to try and shoot and take me down. So I'm kind of getting there, and I'm waiting to hit him with these traps, and he just never fucking does it. You know, he doesn't shoot.
What
and
a
then
dick.
like I'm like, oh, and my coach is just screaming at me to do this, do that, and I'm like, I know. I'm like, I'm nodding to them, like I'm motioning to them, like I'm good. And then the second I come forward, he takes me down. I was like, it's so frustrating. He just.
It was like you had a tell. He was watching you lick that. He was watching you lick that Oreo, and he was like, "Oh, here it comes."
He knew it was coming. Yeah.
It looked clean. His takedowns. It really was timing because he was doing it in a way that like he's not reacting to something you're doing and then going. He's reacting to something you're doing and like, now is the time, and it's perfect.
He took me down, I think, 5 times, and 2 of them were kind of times where I thought I could get a guillotine. You know, like and I shouldn't wrap it up, and it wasn't like I was in a great point to stop the takedown, but I probably could have fought the takedown a little bit more, but I thought I could get my hands around his neck. So I kind of...
Another thing, that when people try to take you down, a lot of times you're ready with the sweep. And but he would usually have good position after the takedown. He had
great position. You know, we didn't give him enough credit for his jiu-jitsu. That's for sure. Like I kind of thought he was gonna, you know, if he was on top, he was gonna be dropping for a leg. Or the second I opened my guard and I moved for something, he was gonna drop for a leg, and he just didn't do that. You know, he didn't take the bait. He did a great job.
I bet that guy wins his next fight. As soon as his striking matures a bit, he's gonna be dangerous.
Yep. And he hit me with a couple, like, you know, what I feel were like his best shots. Like in the first round, he hit me with like 1 or 2 like really good shots, and I felt like I completely shaked it off. Like it didn't bother me.
Yeah, I was watching you
because pissed by it. I'm like, motherfucker, like this guy should not be hitting me.
Yeah, I was watching you, and I've seen you when you're hurt, and I hate seeing it. But I was like, okay, he's not hurt. He looks, but you looked at. I was like, I feel like there's a transition where you got punched a little, and you just looked mad. You were just like, all right, you fucker.
The worst thing was,
in a minute.
I think it was in the first round. He kneed me in the head one time when we were in a clinch. And like I was hanging my head off to the side a little bit, and usually I like to do it because I like to bait people. I like for them to go try to knee me, and I like to try and scoop the leg and take them down. You know what I mean? But I think I was like stepping, so I couldn't quite bring my head up right when I wanted to, and he freaking hit me, and like it wasn't hard, but I was like, motherfucker, like this is just nothing was going the way I wanted it to.
So when I watch the fight, there's a lot of times during a fight where like. They're in a clinch against a cage or something. There's not a lot of action, and I'll see that there's like these little like, I don't know. The guys want to look like they're working, right? Because they don't want to get booed, and so there'll be little punches like this and stuff like that. What I feel like in my normal life, somebody hits me like that, it's like, God damn it! Like you messed up my night. Like I'm gonna have to ice this, I think. And a guy will take like 7 of those rapidly. Like those fucking hurt, right? Like you're a human being.
They hurt. So I mean, like it's all about expectation, though. You know what I mean? Like if I'm gonna fight, those punches are really not gonna bother me. Those are not gonna ruin my night. You know, if I'm sitting here like this and Katie comes in and slaps me upside the face, I'll be like, what the fuck? You know, like. But I did great. Like I hit him. I did such a good job when I was on my back. I beat the crap out of him. I felt like from my back.
I agree 100%. I definitely would say like
since you've had it. Have you watched it again?
I watched a super crappy bootleg version on YouTube when I was flying home, and then I watched it for real yesterday.
I was wondering if upon rewatching it, you did better than you thought you did, because I think you did better than you thought you did.
I did better than I thought I did, but I'm still very upset about how I performed and how I did certain parts of it. You know, like there were some aspects that I just like I did not do a good job. Like I did not do a good job in the clinch. We worked all camp about keeping separation and not crashing and not getting into a grappling match with this kid and keeping him at the end of our punches. And the entire fucking fight, I would throw a punch and I would clinch up with him, and then I would let him bully me and put me on the fence. And I did that probably 6 times. It was like just dumb, stupid on my part.
I had that observation too, and I'm super careful not to tell you how to fight, but it seemed like sometimes you almost willingly went back to the fence, and it was like no, like you were supposed to resist that.
So I don't mind in general. I don't mind when my back is on the fence. Like I'm pretty comfortable with my takedown defense. He took me down, I think, one time off the fence, 1 or 2 times off the fence. But usually I don't mind being on my fence. I don't mind having my butt on the fence because I can land some good. I can work some good ground and pound stuff. I can, generally reverse people, put them on the fence, or I can escape away. There's a lot of things that I like to do. So like I wasn't super alarmed about it, but I was an idiot. I was like, why am I? I was throwing a punch or two. I was clinching, and then I was letting him put me on the fence. It was just dumb. I think again, it was just I was frustrated. I was trying not to get taken down, and I'm thinking like, oh, if I'm gonna clinch, he's not gonna take me down.
I think most observers see the guy on the fence as the one who has the worst position, the one who's being placed there.
Yeah,
being pressured.
It's for the most part, but it's one of those positions I don't mind being there. Like we like to work out of bad positions all the time, so. Like I'll get guys that maybe aren't as good as me, so I'll let them put me on the fence and I'll work out of there and I'll do a good job. And but he just did a good job. He's a big, strong kid. Like I said,
it's kind of a known quantity, isn't it? If you're out in the middle of the octagon, like anything can happen. But it's like a position you can work on and familiarize yourself with. It's always the same when your ass is against the cage, I guess.
I felt there was never a point in the fight, even when he was on my back, where I didn't feel safe. I felt like very safe the entire time, but I felt safer when he was pushing me up against the fence than I did out at open range.
He had nothing. He wasn't dangerous on the ground at all. Like I see guys. I watch a lot of fights, and I see sometimes a guy gets on top, and it's like, oh no, like if my guy is the guy on the bottom, I'm like, oh shit, the elbows are coming, and like you'll hear the elbows miss, and it's just this boom as it hits the fucking mat. You're like, oh god, one of them's gonna hit in a minute.
He speaks pretty good English, but obviously it's like broken English. He's like, he's from Poland, so I don't like. He definitely told me that I knocked him out with the elbows. I know that for sure. People on Reddit were asking like, talking about if it was a knockdown. No, it was 100%. That he said I knocked him out, and then they were telling me, his coach was telling me that the plan was to never to even try to submit me on the ground. It wasn't even to beat me up. I think that their entire plan was, throw punches, take me down, and then break away. Throw punches, take me down, break away, and basically try to just steal time off the clock for a time of control. Because they didn't.
That's
do very
what it
much
looked like to me. That's why I was mad watching the whole fight, honestly, at him. Because it seemed like a lesser fighter sort of exploiting, I don't know, the scoring system. It seemed like a lesser fighter exploiting the scoring system, and and he was focused on doing that. He was like, it was all about that takedown and just holding on to you. It was never about like I'm going to do something spectacular.
I think if it wasn't for the new judges and the new criteria, I think he wins that fight.
Worked.
I agree.
He won that fight in 2016.
That's
perfect. Why I like what happened.
Here's the other thing.
I bet you do too.
I'm okay with it because I got paid for my win bony, but it's just crappy. Here's the other thing that was confusing. So for my last fight, the fight with Jim Miller, I was in blue shorts, but I was the red corner.
Yeah.
Right. So he was in black shorts or white shorts or something like that, but he was the blue corner. So it was very confusing because a lot of times judges are not. You like to think that fighters are like really, really smart people and they take their job really seriously, but a lot of us don't. Like they don't really train very hard. They don't do this. They're good athletes. They're really talented. They put in like a half-ass camp, whatever, but they still fight amazingly. It's just it's the way it goes. So, but a lot of judges do the same thing, right? So they don't necessarily, they don't really take their job super seriously. They don't give a shit. They're getting paid, a couple $100 to be there for the night. So they're gonna get a good view of the fights and watch and whatever. Some take it seriously, but not everyone. So, so when I fought Miller, I argued that I 100% had that fight, like no question. Like I thought that the striking was very close. I thought maybe he edged me out a little bit on the striking, but I took him down so many times. I was on top for like over half the fight.
I think something like 17 out of 19 media outlets, had
29 out of 30. 29 out of 30 was what I saw. Right. So we were arguing that even that night. We were saying, after the fact, like, did the judges fuck it up? Did the judges not know who was who? Because I had a little bit of red. I had a little bit of red tape on my gloves, but I'm wearing blue shorts. So did they just be like, oh, blue won it because I'm wearing the blue shorts? And then Jim Miller's in the the other guy, he's in the blue corner. And the number one rule of judging is you never admit when you fucked up.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, so they're not going to say shit because they don't want to ruin their own reputation or whatever and never get to work a fight again. So we argued that was a problem, right? So now we come around for this fight with Marcin held. So I'm in the red corner, but I have blue shorts because if you're American, your choice of shorts colors is blue, black, and white. Because for whatever reason, Americans have blue as their color. He's from Poland, so his choices are black, white, and red. So I am blue shorts in the red corner. He is red shorts in the blue corner. So I brought it up to the UFC's attention, like, look, I think this fucked me in the last fight. Like, can we get this all squared away? Can I be in
that.
I'm like, because I was the favorite, so I was supposed to walk second. So the favorite always walks second. That's why the champion always walks second, everything like that. So the favorite always walks second. So, or champion always walks second. If it's not a title fight, the favorite always walks second. So I was the favorite, so I was supposed to walk second. I was supposed to be in the red corner. But I'm like, I don't care about walking second. I will walk first. I don't give a shit. You know, I want to, if I win, I want it to be the judges because the judges picked me. If I lose, I want it to be because the judges picked him. I don't want there to be any confusion. And, like, well, we can't change the corners. We don't allow the fighters to have any say on the corners they're in. I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, can we both wear different color shorts? Well, you can choose to wear a different color. So you can not wear blue. You can wear black or white, but we can't do anything about him. And at that point, now we're like a couple days in the fight. I don't really want to contact him. I don't want to try and get him, and I don't want to, do anything. So I'm like, all right. I thought about it. I really thought about it, and then I'm thinking when we got the judge, I'm like, fuck, did it screw him this time? Did they see him in the red shorts in the blue? Like, oh, red one is I have red tape on my gloves. I don't know. I don't know. And again, judges would never admit it if it were.
Yeah, they wouldn't. No, of course not. I would.
Yeah, they would look like a complete idiot if they were like, actually, we thought red corner, blue pants won, and we voted for blue pants, red corner. I'm so sorry.
And so yeah, I was really happy when I heard the decision. I was like, yeah, fuck it, that's great. Joe won because it was super close. I didn't know who won.
I thought I lost. Between rounds. So the first round happens. We think that we have the first round, right? But we say it's close. You know what I mean? It was close. Like I had all those elbows, but he got a takedown on me. He was on top. Like it was, I definitely think that the first round was the most decided round, and it was in our favor.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. It wouldn't have been completely out of the question if like some judge had given it to him. So we always assume a close round is his. Second round happens, and I had a really close arm lock, but he was on top most of the round. Like he took me down. Like so, it's like It's like it could have been my round, but it's not. It wasn't clear enough. We have to assume he has it. We got to assume it's 1-1. So now it's like, dude, you gotta like Steve Mays is telling me, dude, you got 5 minutes to change the outcome of this fight. You're gonna lose this fight. So I go at it and I get taken down like right away, and I'm like, motherfucker, like, I'm annoyed. I'm trying to do whatever I can off my back. I'm just not getting anything going. He has great base. I can't get on top. Fight ends, and I'm just like, I'm pissed. Because I'm like, I lost. He got the second and third round. I could have had the second, but I'm thinking like I'm just like fucking that's terrible. Like I just didn't do a good job in the third round. And it wasn't that I was tired. It was just that I couldn't. He had really good technique when I was healthy, and then my right arm was kind of junk, and I couldn't do a whole lot with it. I couldn't scramble the way I wanted to. I couldn't do much of anything. So I'm like, fuck. There's no way we got the round. And they're already like, my coach are already talking about like what we can do better and like how we fucked up, but everyone's all depressed.
Yeah. Wow.
And then. They start reading the judges and they hit 30-27, and I know that that's not me because I didn't do shit in the third round.
Yeah.
And so they announce him, and then they announce that I got one of the judges on 20, and I'm like, and I just like, you see me like look at Steve Mays, and I look at the side, I'm like, get the fuck out of here, like there's no chance. And then they announce it's me, and right away I'm like, you gotta be, I'm like, nope, like complete bullshit. I felt bad because that was me.
But you did better than you thought you did at that point. Like
yeah.
I
do think it was closer than I thought at that time, because I was so focused on the takedowns. But in hindsight, I was very close. I had the 2 points where I was closest to winning the fight. The first round with the elbows, the second round with the arm lock. So I guess I understand it, but I don't feel like it's a fight I won.
I text your wife after every fight,
She told me.
And she said you were grumpy, even in like backstage and stuff. That you just.
You have to be the only fighter in history who's had a surprise win called for them, and you give a face of like, "Oh yeah, it's all politics, people."
Yeah.
Like, nonsense.
And everyone keeps asking me if there was like backlash, like, "Oh, is the UFC pissed you came out and said?" I'm like, "No, the UFC has no." That's the thing. People think the UFC like employs the judges. It's not. It's 100% the athletic commission. The UFC has no say whatsoever in who judges are or anything like that. So the UFC doesn't give a shit. And if I win, then they're happy for me because I won at that guy's expense. And if that guy wins, then they're happy that he won because it's at my expense. It doesn't really matter to the UFC who wins. They want a guy like Conor McGregor to win because he's such a cash cow. But short of that,
they want a Ronda.